Episode 2 with Rebecca Cornale really showed the impacts of the aftermath when it comes to getting your breast implants removed. It's a journey that can really make you reflect on not only your past experiences, but also how you are feeling exactly in that moment when it comes to getting a breast lift. What people don't really understand is that the emotional trauma is also reflective on your past experiences and also the damage that you feel, for example, mutilating your body during that process in that point in time. So it's a journey of self-discovery and a journey of transformation. And it's a really beautiful journey when you are prepared and ready for the breast implant removal. So I highly recommend you watch this series. It's a very impactful series, specifically as well if you're thinking about getting your breast implants removed, or even if you do have them currently in and you're thinking about that journey. So enjoy the podcast, and I hope you actually get something out of it.
So Rebecca, thank you so much for coming for this podcast today, because it's a really beautiful thing for you to share your story. And I know a lot more women need to hear not only your story, but all the other stories out there that women are actually currently going through with breast implant illness. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for joining us. I do want to say I do love your jewelry. Ishka jewels, everybody.
Ishk.
So is it Ishka?
Ishk, yeah.
Ishk jewels.
Ishk jewels, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's absolutely beautiful what
Thank
you're doing.
you. Yeah.
Okay, so just thank you so much for your courage and even utilising your voice to actually speak about it.
I'm honoured to be here. I think I've always said this, if we can stop one woman from actually going, who is contemplating to do a breast implant, if we can stop that, if just one woman, I think my job is done. I mean, obviously we want to stop hundreds, but yeah, it's a horrific, untalked about, silent disease.
Absolutely. And honestly, the impact I think that your story will tell, it's not just going to be one woman that you impact. So thank you.
Thank you.
And so I'd love to know, like, take me back to the start. Like, tell me, like, why did you get them done in the first place? Like, take me back to the beginning if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I don't mind, because this is emotional stuff.
Yeah.
This is an emotional thing. It's a big thing to modify your body. And looking at the reasons behind that, I mean, I'm 27 at the time. I'd been through my whole high school life being teased, bullied. I was a very, very thin teenager. Developed very late. And so all my friends, had the boys' attention and all the rest, but I just didn't even get looked at. Actually, I got called horrible names. And I think that just it ingrained in me and it stuck with me. And forever and a day I was like, I need boobs to feel feminine. How bad, now I look back and think that it was such a twisted and warped view, but I had no one else to guide me or tell me otherwise. So we're going back to 2007 when I got them in. Mm-hmm. And once I finally committed to that decision, I thought this is going to make me feel like the divine feminine goddess that I've always wanted to feel and always had felt like I was lacking, not realising it was always there anyway. But that took many years to come to that conclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
So it took you quite a few years for you to make the decision to get them in, or were you thinking about it for a long time?
Look, we're going back to now I'm showing my age, but high school, I'm going back to late 90s. So back then, it wasn't a fad like it is now, breast implants. It wasn't. It was something that the famous people did. Yeah. And so it took some time, and me moving to Melbourne. So I relocated to Melbourne for a short time, and obviously the city of fashion and fast and a bit more ahead than Perth. Yeah. I made the commitment to, I'm going to get them done. Mm-hmm. This is going to solve all my insecurities.
Yep.
And problems. I tried everything else. I'm like, go to the gym, like gym to keep myself into a fit, healthy body that was in proportion, what I perceived as being in proportion. I thought, if I can just get boobs put in, I'm going to be able to look and feel my best.
Yeah.
And all those insecurities are just going to dissolve away.
Okay.
Yeah. And they did.
And how did you feel after getting them in? Like, tell me through the process of when you got them in, and did you still were in contact with the girls from high school, or
So I spectacularly left all the high school people behind.
Good, yep.
And it was more the boys, actually,
Okay.
less the girls. It was more the boys that were making the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're so impressionable when you're 16, 17.
well, you're finding who your identity is, right? You're still trying to find yourself at the same time.
So I went into this phase of, I loved them. I loved myself, but crazy story, I wanted them bigger. And that was just, now looking back, ridiculous, because I'm such a small build as it is, and they were quite large as it was. And I just thought, no, I've made a mistake. I haven't gone big enough.
But it's really interesting that you said that, because I remember when I went over, so I had mine actually done in Thailand, and so the surgeon that did mine, he is actually one of the president of the boards in the US for plastic surgery. And he was interesting. So I went and saw him, and he was like, he put the boobs, like he wouldn't, he's very, like considerate to the woman. So he won't ever put huge boobs into a woman that won't suit it. So that's like his principle, his rule, and I respected that a lot. And then, but I remember after having mine done, like I went to a C to D, but I did want the bigger, and I was like, I should have got, if I went all the way to Thailand to get them done, I should have gotten bigger, you know. And so I did have that feeling. So I remember that thought myself, and I think a lot of other women also probably have a similar thought. So yeah, that's super interesting.
That is super interesting, because I fully obsessed about and fantasized about, okay, we'll wait a year and we'll go again.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
But that's what my obsession was.
Yeah, right.
I still wasn't happy.
Yeah, okay.
So, look back now and think, wow, such a tender
subject, isn't
tender
it?
subject, and in such a different place.
So how many years did you have them in for?
14 years.
14 years.
14 years, 3 pregnancies, 3 bouts of breastfeeding for 2 years at a time. So literally in total 6 years of breastfeeding, 27 months of pregnancy, and the body changes that go along with that. So they blew up and then they came back, and then, you know, with the breastfeeding, breastfeeding can be quite, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, but it's actually quite intense and traumatic for the body, or the boobs in particular. But their sustenance, their life. So it was something I always wanted to do, and I was successfully able to do that, luckily, with implants in. Yeah.
So going back to when you did have them in, how long did you start feeling the symptoms or that you were experiencing?
I feel like I probably would have ignored or not put the 2 and 2 together and gone, okay, this could be the implants. That took a long time to come to that conclusion. I was healthy up until my first pregnancy, actually. And I think with all the hormonal changes and the intensity that your body goes through growing another human being, that's when things started to go really, really quite badly. I had quite, a great awakening in terms of my health at that first pregnancy.
Right.
So for someone, I'm not a big build. I'm quite a small build. I got gestational diabetes. The nurses at the hospital were saying, we don't understand how you've got gestational diabetes. Like, you know, it's normally, you know, you're quite a good weight range, and, you know, you eat well and all the rest. My thyroid completely stopped working.
How did you find that out?
I was feeling very uneasy, racy, anxious. Heart rate was through the roof. Went through a series of tests, and they said your you've got Graves' disease.
Whoa.
Which is probably the worst type of thyroid disease that you can actually have.
Yeah.
And this is all while I was pregnant.
Yeah.
With my first child. So
I was just going to ask you, was it either the first or the third? So I was just about to ask you.
First child. So gestational diabetes came. The thyroid issues came, Graves' disease, which they had to really seriously monitor me for and control. And I was, I really just I wasn't healthy during that pregnancy at all. And I should have been. So, yeah, that was.
How did you manage that with the first baby?
So when she was born, the gestational diabetes obviously went away straight away, but the thyroid problems remained. And I was sent to a specialist, and he said to me, the only alternative, if you want to have more children, I cannot give you the medication that we do to control the thyroid that's overactive. It's quite an intense medication that you cannot conceive on. We're going to have to take your thyroid out. That's the only alternative. This is my first big awakening, and that's a pretty big awakening. I was absolutely petrified because my primary thought pattern here was I just wanted to be a mum so much and have more than one child, and that's all I wanted. And he said the healing journey to get that thyroid back balanced, still not putting two and two together that I had the implants and that could be the reason, could be as long as 2 to 3 years. And at that stage I was 34 and I did not want to wait that long for a maybe and then a possible thyroid balance. So I did a lot of research and I did come to the conclusion that, and I'd got a lot of medical opinions and one of the best endocrinologists in Perth, that the best way forward was to remove the thyroid because my body was autoimmune now and it was attacking itself. So, so we had a thyroid surgery and we have...
That was going to be my next question. So what was your decision? Okay.
I had my thyroid removed 1 week after my wedding. So I was very serious about moving forward with this health journey. So I had my thyroid removed. And my endocrinologist said to me, it could be as long as up to 12 months for your body to balance. You cannot get pregnant till I give you the green light. Right. I was so regimented with diet, exercise, and really eating and living in my cleanest and best life that I was able to get a green light in 8 weeks from him. And he just said, I want you to come and preach to all my clients. What are you doing? And I said, I'm following the diet I followed while I had gestational diabetes. I learned a lot about myself then and the body and how food reacts with the body. And then I'm also, I'm just in a better mental clear headspace. So I had the thyroid removed and it did remove some of my problems.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. So what problems, the problems that you had, which ones did it remove and then what symptoms stayed?
So obviously once I had my thyroid out and everything was balanced, your thyroid's like the engine room for your body, right? Your metabolism, everything, hormones, controls everything. So I felt like I could breathe again because with an overactive thyroid, you're constantly in overdrive and you're constantly in almost like a state of anxiety and a state of... without knowing it, you think that becomes your new normal. So I could breathe again and I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to be normal. This is great. Still have Graves' disease, that you never get rid of that because it is autoimmune, but the body has nothing to attack because the thyroid's gone. So I was feeling a lot, probably at the healthiest point I'd ever felt. So I went forward and fell pregnant again with my second child. And that pregnancy was a breeze. It was the easiest pregnancy I've ever had. No issues, no gestational diabetes, no problems at all. It was only after he was born and I began breastfeeding that I noticed some health issues crop up again. And my breast felt lumpy. I thought, yeah, okay, I'm feeding. I've got, a lot of milk. Doctor said, look, I can feel those lumps in your breasts. I would like to send you for an ultrasound.
Okay.
And I thought, okay. I was also in the background thinking I was tired and fatigued because I had 2 children now. And I thought, no, it's just, being a mum, what it's all about. I would get a common cold, and I would not be able to get rid of that common cold for 3 to 4 weeks. And I just thought, maybe it's because I'm not getting enough rest. Maybe because I'm doing too much. I was in complete denial about everything. So we went for the ultrasound, and they said to me, the implants are starting to enfold on themselves. You haven't got any nasty lumps, but they're caving in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still, I wanted those boobs so much that I thought, she'll be right.
Okay.
She'll be right. And I wanted another child. So I didn't want to go through the stress and time of more surgery. I was 37 then, and I thought, no, I'm going to have my third child, then I'll address the boobs. Yeah, I breastfed her successfully for 2 years. So by that stage, you're a retired mum of 3.
Did you have any pain with the breastfeeding, and you had the lumps and...
They worked like they were just perfect. They worked like clockwork. Like they were just amazing to feed with. And you got to think that's your natural boobs doing that. It's not even the implants are just, I feel like a barrier in there, if anything. But no, there was no issue in supply or pain during feeding or the ability to feed. But you kind of don't look at yourself in the mirror after you've had 3 children for a very long time. You don't even look at yourself and really see yourself. So I think there was one day I was standing there after a shower and I'm looking and I'm thinking, my boobs look like they're coming off my chest. Like the gap was so large in between my boobs.
The sternum,
that they looked like they were literally falling off my chest.
Did you have your breast implants behind the muscle or on top?
On top of the muscle.
Yeah.
So I knew early on that I didn't want to have any issues with feeding future children. So I always said, leave the nipple intact, want them on top of the muscle. And they looked like they were coming off my chest, and I thought, and then I had this back pain in my left shoulder that I went to physio after physio, I just could not massage, remedial. I tried everything. I cannot even say to you. It was so, and my husband said to me, you want another massage there? Every night I say, come on, this huge knot in my back shoulder. I can't even move it. I can't even move my neck today. And he'd say, there's something wrong. You need to go and get a scan or something, like a man thing to say. And I'd say, no, it just feels so deep and muscular. But when you massage it, it's like relief. It's sweet relief. Like, and there was a part under here, and I would sit there all day.
That's so common. So common. I've had so many women having this issue with this shoulder. Like I had another lady that actually reached out the other day, and she's like, she wonders if her breast implants is correlated to her shoulder pain. And I'm like, have you not seen like the last podcast? Because so many women have actually come forward with having this shoulder pain. So it's so intriguing.
Huge red flag. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
For breast implant. Then my kids were of 2 of them at school age. They're bringing home every cold, flu and nasty bug possible. They'd get over the bug like in a week. There I'd be 3-4 weeks deep in this thing, and I would get every secondary infection possible, and it would just take so long for my body I thought to myself one day, do I even have an immune system? What is going on? Like I am always literally sick. I'm always sick.
Yeah. It's a really interesting thing, a big aha moment that I got a few weeks ago actually was that having anything foreign in your body, okay, that's not meant to be there, hence foreign, your body's going to constantly try and remove it and get it out because it's not meant to be there. So your body's in this constant state of fight, trying to constantly remove it. That's energy taxing. And no wonder so many women get fatigue, tiredness, like they're just burning out of energy very quickly, shortness of breath, and all this other kind of stuff that's happening and autoimmune. So it's really interesting because it's in its state of fight all the time.
Yep.
So for 14 years for yourself, and it was 11 years for myself, it's that was literally my big aha moment. Yeah.
Yep. The last 12 months of that 14 years was one of the hardest 12 months of my life. I still in denial. I was breathless I couldn't take a deep breath. I was in a state of always being sick. I had 3 children to look after, and I started getting, I'm not an anxious person and I'm not a person that worries about things, but I was in a high state of anxiety. I thought I was dying and I didn't know why. And I was going to GP after GP, asking them, begging them for answers, and I couldn't pinpoint. I still didn't correlate. Maybe it's the boobs. I didn't correlate that. I just was telling them my symptoms. I can't breathe. I can't take a deep breath. I have this numbness in my right-hand side of my face where I feel like I can't control it. I've got a sore shoulder that's intense pain, and I don't like to take pain meds. I don't want to take pain meds for it. They just said, no, you need to take pain meds. It's silly. I have this ongoing cough that was always there, a little bit of a phlegmy, wet cough. And I'd be like, I'm constantly needing to clear my throat and my chest. And I was getting sent for lung scans, x-rays, to neurologists. It was, so you can understand, at this stage, my anxiety was through the roof. Yeah. And I started questioning myself, and the doctor started questioning me. Is she okay, mentally? Is she making this up? Because she looks fine. But I didn't feel fine. I was far from fine. And there was days where I just didn't want to get out of bed. I was feeling so ill that I push through colds and flus. I keep going. But this is something that I was just flawed. And I think with the stress of what's the lung x-ray going to bring back? What's the neurologist going to say? What's, why am I always sick? What is wrong with my immune system? I don't understand. Horrific.
So what happened then?
One day I woke up, remember it clear as day, and one of the school mums I was very dear friend, very close friend, she's known me for 10 years, I had a message on my Instagram. She'd sent me a lady in America who had breast implant illness and was telling her story on Instagram. And she said, simple message, she goes, I think this is what you have.
Smart lady.
And I think I knew that in the depths of my soul, I knew that.
Yeah.
But seeing those words on the page, I'm like, you know what, I think she's right. I think this is what it is. What if this can solve everything? If this would be, I just want to be back to where my normal self, happy, a mum. I need this energy for my kids. I need to be healthy for my kids. That morning, I literally bounded out of bed. I was like, I'm so excited because I think I've got an answer. But that was just the beginning of a very long journey of getting the GPs to believe me.
Right.
That was it. I made a doctor's appointment immediately. Went in, I was within the hour, dropped the kids off at school, I'm at the doctor. Yeah. I've got breast implant illness. That's what I said to them. And keep in mind, they've got the record of all the things
that you've actually
that I've
been
just been seeing
them for.
And then none of them could give me answers. And they said, I remember him clearly. It was a female doctor, this one, sorry. And she said, I don't think that's the reason for all this. Mm-hmm. And I said, I do. Can I please just have a scan? Can I please just have an ultrasound? Can you please just give me a referral for an ultrasound? Okay, I'll give you a referral for an ultrasound. And off I went. And I got a call back 24 hours later. And I went in. And it was a male doctor this time because I went to the first appointment. I'm like, I'm getting the first appointment I can. And I looked at the screen and there were pages of notes on this ultrasound and I could see that. And I said, that doesn't look very good. And he goes, well, it isn't. And I said, okay, just give it to me straight. He said, we think they're ruptured. We think they're leaking. There's a lot of their implants are literally enfolding inside themselves almost to the point where I don't even know. He said what would happen, they would he didn't use the word explode, but tear the scar tissue that covers the implant and leak throughout the body. he said, I need to give you a referral to a plastic surgeon. Do you have anyone in mind? And I already did. I'd already done all that research. I'd already been down that path. I'm like, I'm serious about this. I'm going to get it out. I'm going to get them out. I've got to get them out. And he said, well, that's a decision that you have to make. And I said, well, yeah, I've made it. Like, this is it. He said, I still don't know if that's going to address the symptoms that you've been having. I can't guarantee that. Mm-hmm. Because there's very little known about breast implant illness. Mm-hmm. So we went down that path. Sorry. I got the referral to Dr. Mark Lee. Mm-hmm. I knew he was the best in the business, and I knew that he was the best at breast explants, breast removals. I joined a number of Facebooks and pages, support groups, and I'd spoken to other women in similar positions and circumstances. And I went to Mark, and he took one look at me, with my top off, and he said, oh, you poor thing. He didn't even read the scan. He just saw. He goes, he goes, you must be in so much pain. They were the words. And I said, I felt validated and heard. For the first time ever, I cried. I just cried because I just knew.
That was the answer.
Yep. That was the answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long did you have to wait to get them taken out?
I had to wait. I wanted it done the next day. Yeah. I wanted it gone. I wanted them gone. I was in a state of like, this has got to go. This is the solution. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, no matter what level of private health insurance you have, it still was deemed cosmetic surgery. Mm-hmm. So I needed to get $12,000 and I needed to get it really quickly to get these out. Yeah. And you've got 3 kids and a mortgage and you haven't got that kind of money lying around. So I had to access my superannuation. Mm-hmm. And that took 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Bit of an emotional journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how were you preparing yourself for getting them taken out during that time?
In terms of mentally?
Yes.
Do you know what? I feel like I was just so sick and so focused on being well and being the mum I wanted to be for my kids with energy that I wasn't even thinking about anything other than the sweet relief of having them gone. Mm-hmm. So I did not consider the aesthetic repercussions at that stage. It didn't even cross my mind.
Right. And then what happened? So when did that kick in for you?
The aesthetic?
Yes, the aesthetics of it.
The day after the surgery.
Right, okay.
Actually, I do remember a moment where I looked an hour after surgery, I looked down and I went, oh, there's not much there. And because you're laying down and there's a healing process that goes along. And the next week I didn't leave my bedroom when I went home. I went through the dark night of the soul. I tell everyone that, and that's how exactly I describe it. It was the dark night of the soul for me. It was one of the darkest times I've been through. I looked in the mirror and I just went, I have mutilated my body. And obviously it can be quite confronting seeing yourself with stitches everywhere. Your nipples have been removed and put back on. It's very graphic. I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't mentally prepare myself for it. I needed the breast lift because I'd fed 3 children. Yeah. I looked and I just thought to myself, what have I done to my body, in tears? And I was sobbing. And my husband was just, he didn't know how to handle me and comfort me. I kind of did need to go through this
journey
on my own. Yeah. It was something that came with so much more than just removing an implant. There was all the emotional trauma and stuff that I had since teenage years. The reason I got them in the first place, the reason I modified my body in the first place, all that had to be dealt with in that, and I needed to do that
and sit with yourself to actually help to release it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really dark. That's all I'm going to say. And they gave me a lot of drugs and I didn't want to take them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a person that takes pharmaceutical drugs. I just didn't want to take them and I had to. The pain was intense.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have some really wicked hallucinations. So I took myself off that. I thought, these are just making me go into a deeper, darker hole. I just can't do this. I just needed to deal with it all. The pain, the physical pain, as well as the emotional.
Mm-hmm.
It's the emotional pain that hurt the most, more so.
Absolutely. It always does, right?
Yeah.
And what got you through?
My little dog. I had my little dog.
Oh,
She sat on my bed every day.
Yeah.
My daughters as well, they came. I've got 2 daughters. I've got 2 daughters and a son. And they came in and my daughter said to me, I think she was 7 at the time. The oldest one was 7 at the time. She said, Mum, why did you get your boobies taken out? And I thought, well, this is a really hard question and I'm just going to have to answer it in the most honest way I can because I do not want her growing up thinking she has to modify her body to fit in with a societal image, or I want her to be strong enough in her own self, to love herself enough to not want to change herself. I said, right, sat all 3 of them down. I said, Mummy got plastic boobies put in because she felt like her boobies weren't big enough and she didn't love herself enough to love what God gave her. So she changed her body to make it better. And they said, yeah, but it didn't make it better. You look good now, Mum. And I said, well, I do now, but we are still our mum. It hasn't changed anything. And they're from the mouth of babes. They're just so honest. And Willow, my youngest one, and this is a little bit after I'd had healed, she grabbed my boob. She used to grab them all the time. And she was only little. She was only 3. And she grabbed it and she goes, I like these squishy boobies better than the cold, hard boobies that you had. And I just laughed and I gave her the biggest hug and I thought, it actually doesn't change who I am as a person. I'm still the wonderful, divine, feminine mother that I've always been. I just don't have the plastic crap inside me.
Making you feel like
crap. Making me feel like crap. And But look, I say that now and it sounds so easy, but it actually took a good 12 to 18 months of emotional healing to get to a point where I was really comfortable. And I will be 100% transparent and honest with you. Yeah. I didn't realise I was doing it, but my husband said when we were intimate, he goes, you keep hiding yourself. You keep putting your hands. He goes, I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to be ashamed of your body. He goes, stop doing it. You've still got issues there. You're still, and like he's a very direct man. He's like, you're still doing it, and I would like inadvertently just be having my hands over my chest when we were intimate, not wanting to be topless, not wanting to wear a bikini. Summers I would dread because I'm like, I've got nothing there. What am I gonna? For me, it was like I've got nothing there because compared to what I'd had. And I got to a point where he just said, I want you to be comfortable in your body. Like we've been together 15 years or 14 years, at that stage. I want you to be yourself because doing that is actually unattractive. That
especially
part,
with your
hiding
husband
yourself.
who loves you no matter what.
That I've been with since I was, 28. So I think it was just that whole – like security thing.
Keeping you safe.
Yeah.
So what?
Just going to keep that. I'm just going to pop that on you there. Cool, go for it.
So what then helped you to, because it was 12 to 18 months that you're saying, and I can't say I know what you went through. I'm going through the journey myself. Yeah. But one of my best friends actually had a lift and everything and had a similar situation story like you. So one of the things that I remember that mentally prepared me for when I unveiled myself was literally after the surgery, was she said they don't look nice at all. So and I think that was the biggest thing that a lot of women aren't prepared for because they're afraid to go through that journey themselves because of that. When they're gone, how are they going to look? And they don't look the best. They're not round. They're not, you'll see some scars. You'll see, redness and probably swelling and all that kind of stuff, and they don't look good. But you'll have this overarching self-love for them, that knowing that you did the right decision, and it's only temporary. It's so interesting that you're actually going through that, because this is what women need to hear, is that the journey can be long for some, it can be short for some. But the biggest thing is that knowing that they do come good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those Facebook support groups were priceless in offering that
Support.
comfort
Yeah,
and support
beautiful.
and reassurance in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me how, from you feeling that insecurity still, even, within those 12 to 16 months, how did you break through that? Like, what was it that helped you to move forward?
That's an interesting question. I remember going shopping. I had to obviously throw all my bras out.
Yeah.
All my bikinis out. I do have a bit of a stash, and quite a few tops out that were low cut, and really getting my head around going, okay, I'm going shopping with a new body. It's not a bad body. It's just an amended version of my other body. It's my natural body, and getting my mentality around, stop picking things up that you think is going to make you look sexy or beautiful, or with the previous boobs in your head. Like, start shopping for your body now. And once I did that, I was like, I actually, they look really good. Like, I was putting things on that were more suited to my new body, and I went, actually, I'm really quite lucky. I've got these perky little boobs that I can go to the gym with. I can run.
And they're not bouncing and hitting your head.
Exactly. I can lay on my stomach and get a massage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And really be comfortable. And, there's still like stuff there to play with. I did like a lot of massage and stuff. Like, it's there. They're there. Okay. They're still there. And then I thought back to all the times that they had been sustenance for the life of my 3 children. And that wasn't the implants feeding them. That was my natural body. Why didn't I have belief in it back then? Probably from all the trauma I endured as like locked in as a high school, like early 20s, and that what you're looking at on social media and what's shoved down as the image of perfection. That was all locked in and had never been dealt with. None of that stuff had been dealt with. It had just been covered up with implants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's pop some implants on and we don't have to worry about all that stuff anymore. And then I would see people from school and be like,
and that's
look at me now. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's such an interesting point, because, again, you hear of so many stories that women will get implants in after a traumatic experience or a breakup from a boyfriend or, but again, it always comes back down to that self-love and that insecurity that you have of yourself. And that's another thing to mention, that, like you said, it's just those trauma or those experiences that you've had have literally just been covered up by implants, but you're still going to have to process and deal with that trauma and those experiences. So for the ladies out there, please deal with your emotions and deal with your experiences and the events that have occurred in your life before choosing to get them in, because when you choose to get them out, you will be going through the emotions again. And it's so important to release that.
You can't run from that stuff.
Absolutely not. And it hits you tenfold even after, because
yes,
there is so much more that's going on in your life, and life is different to what it is back then, at that time. So it just feels like it's amplified.
That's why I called it the dark night of the soul. I am not exaggerating when I felt like I was in after that surgery. I'll never forget the feelings I had. a dark black tunnel of emotions that I had to process. And I had to do 14 or 15 years worth of processing in it all came at once. And it really was transformational. I couldn't say that at the time.
Yeah.
But it really was transformational. And can I just say, I have never been healthier. Like, and that in itself is worth, you cannot put a price on that. I just feel like I do so much now. I don't get sick. I'm always on the go. I have 3 children, so there's a million and one things, plus a full-time job, plus a business. I'm always on the go, and I'm able to be healthy enough to keep going. I can't believe it's like black and white. It really was instant. As soon as I came out, my body just went almost like hallelujah. We can like function now, like as a oneself. And obviously, I actually, after I did have the surgery, and I found this really helpful. I went to a naturopath and went on a full detox program, a gentle one, one that was catered exactly to me. She knew my bloods, she knew everything.
Yeah.
She knew my situation. She's my current regular naturopath, so she put me on this amazing detox program. She said, look, it's going to take 12 to 18 months to get all that silicon sort of out of your body if it's leached into any areas, and to really detox the liver and detox your body. And I was prepared to take that journey.
Yeah.
But it did happen a lot quicker than what I thought, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
That's
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Honestly, I'm feeling great. For me, I had instant clarity when I had mine. So it was really such an interesting story. So I had a nurse. It was the following day. No, it was the day on the surgery after taking them out. So I was actually suffering from a lot of short-term memory loss. So they were calling me Dory.
Oh.
So, and it was getting quite bad. And, if it was forgetting things, then chronic fatigue a lot kicked in. And there was a lot of internal chatter in my head, things that I never, ever used to have, So there was a lot of that was going on. And running a business and always staying distracted. And then you'll go through these moments where you have self-doubt, which didn't feel like it was mine. It was just weird thoughts. And lots of other things, and then shortness of breath. So I recognize with the shortness of breath, I'm always trying to get that deep breath in. But it was so interesting. So it was that day, and I actually had mine done after I had broke up with my ex. It was a long time relationship, and we were on a break, and then I got mine done at that time. And then we got back together after that for another year or two, and then broken off. But it was really an interesting time because there was so much drama that was going on with having my implants in. I recognized this. It was actually 2 weeks ago. I had a massive aha moment, and I was speaking to Jake about it. And so before I get to that, and everything will make sense, the day I had it out after I woke up from the anesthetics, I had a nurse come in, and we're just having a good chat. Turned out she was actually following Jake. So her partner was following Jake for quite some time, and he was a PT, and he actually attended one of the seminars, and I would not have remembered this, but I knew exactly where he was sitting in the room, and she just told me his name. And that, for me, I would never have even been able to do that.
Memory came back.
And I was just like, whoa. Like, there was no way I would have remembered that. So I even spotted it. She messaged him, and she goes, yeah, like, he was sitting there. And I was like, shit, I was just like messaging Jake, and I was like, oh my God, can you not gonna believe what just happened? And then the following day, but I realized like the clarity in my head, I had no internal chatter. There was nothing going on. I remember Mark Lee came in, and he's like, just checking. He goes, "Ooh, they're small," and I was like, "Yeah, they are small." And I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to love it. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? And I go, and now I'm going to love them. I go, I don't care. And I was just, I think it took me a whole year to mentally prepare myself to get mine out.
Yeah.
So for me, I was well and truly ready.
Yeah.
Where you felt that you were forced because you were in bed and chronic fatigue. You know, so I was amping myself up for a whole year trying to kind of get my head around. I'm like, no, I'm just done with feeling those pains and the emotions and the fatigue. I'm done with feeling like that anymore. And now I can literally get out of bed very easily. I can do 5 hours sleep and I'm still springing up. And that I never used to be able to do. Never used to be able to do. I would have to have more than 8 hours and I'd be still dragging myself and feel like I haven't slept properly.
Yeah.
You know, so having that, and then I think the beautiful thing is having the support from Jake and your family, you know, and your friends.
Yeah.
And like I remember coming back from the hospital and all the guys in the house had all my bras. They were all wearing my bras on, and I was
doing
just
the
like,
burn the bra. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it felt like the whole journey was just meant to be.
Yeah.
And then it was the first unveil, and I did it with Jake. You know, and you know what? And I remember opening them up and I'm like, I freaking love them. I was I was just so happy with them. And I'm like, you know what? I know, because I was prepared as well that they're not going to look post-surgery. They're going to look a little bit, you know, not so rounded and because everything's sort of cut still in the stitches. But I remember looking at them and I'm like, yeah. I was like, I love them. I was like, you know what? I'm so happy with them. And I was like, damn, I was a stupid young lady back then for getting them in, but I'm just so grateful for them. And don't get me wrong, yes, when I had them in, I had fun with them. I loved them.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Me too.
That,
yeah.
You know, so, but then I'm just so happy that they're gone because it's a new chapter in my life now, you know, and the chapter is where I've got clear. And like, I remember even the night before I was getting him out, I think I had a massive meltdown. It was such an emotional relief.
Yeah, good.
But I literally just, because I haven't had that or was able to sit with that for such a long time, and so many deep things were coming out for me. And I remember was Brett here, and I was just like, I don't know why I'm crying, what's going on? And
well, it's a part of yourself that you're literally thought you needed.
But it's 10, 11
and you're
years.
taking them off.
Yeah, it's 10, 11 years of all sorts of stuff that's probably been coming up. And again, emotional processing from what had happened. I didn't recognize that then. But I remember a week later and I was speaking to Jake and I was like, the clarity that I was feeling, the emotional release, the things from my past, like I didn't have any of that. And I was saying to Jake and I'm like, oh my gosh, that time when I had these put in was during a time where I was going through so much crap in my life. And all of that is now gone, completely gone. So I was like, this feels like I'm not being held back. I'm not being taken back, or you know, stupid little excuses or banter or little arguments that I felt that may have been resonated back to emotional processing trauma from back then.
Yeah,
and gone.
Yeah,
and I was just saying, I was like, shit. Like, this is insane, the release that you have after getting them out. And that is why I started this podcast, because I was like, women need to know how to feel this because it feels amazing.
It's transformational.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
And it's just like everything in your past, and it was just a huge release from it.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't trapped from that.
A darkness. A real darkness. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it was just gone. So it was amazing.
I think if I could give any women advice now, it would be address what's really going on and why you think you need to modify your body to feel happy.
Absolutely.
Because you're beautiful the way you are. Because it is, it's not worth it. It's really not. And they do not tell you this before the surgery.
So if you were to give one tip or one thought to all the women out there.
Yes.
Love for you to just to speak to the camera right now. Yeah. What would that be?
On
just
your body. Look, do not think that you have to amend or change your body to be loved, to be who you are, to accept and love who you are. You are an amazing creation of God and a divine feminine, and our bodies are designed to do the most incredible things, especially as females. We house new life. You do not need to change it to fit into societal ideals. It just isn't worth it. It really isn't. And you never get this body back.
No.
We only have one body. We gotta love her.
And like you said, dealing with previous emotions and
It's something that if you're even thinking or contemplating about getting a breast implant surgery, deal with what's really going on inside here. Like, why? What is the why? Why do you need that? To make yourself look good or feel good or it's gonna do it temporarily, but it's not a long-term fix.
no.
It's certainly a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a massive internal change, an internal shift that needs to be done.
Do the work.
Yeah.
It's hard to address the shadows, but you need to do it. Do the work and you'll get to that happy place. You will. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for
I'm so
your
glad I
story.
could share the story, because I always said if my story can stop just one woman from going through what I went through, then my mission here is accomplished. Obviously, I want to stop 150 million women from doing it, but yeah, it's mission accomplished.
Who knows? It just might. But the most amazing thing is every woman go through different journeys, right? And your journey in particular, the 12 to 16 months post-op is so crucial, because that's what most women are really afraid to go through, is that post-op journey.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why they don't want to take that leap, because they don't want to be experiencing that. They don't want to be going through that. There's, probably all these underlying issues that they don't want to deal with. But again, if you want to achieve those bigger goals or those big things in life, or even to have kids, or even for you to feel human and feel like a woman again, those boobs it's not the thing that's going to fix it.
And
like you said, it's that internal work that needs to be done.
And I'm not going to lie, that journey post-op is hard.
Yeah.
But it is the most goddamn beautiful release and transformational journey that you can ever go through. It is incredible afterwards. There's a light. And I just thought, make sure you surround yourself with lots of beautiful female friends who are very supportive of you and that continue to remind you when you do have those moments of doubt, because you do, how sick you were before and how you're a completely different person now. And that's what I've got in my ear. And I'm always forever to this day grateful to that friend for sending me that Instagram post, because I don't know if I'd be here telling this story today. I'd probably still be in denial, wanting and not wanting to face those shadows, like you said. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
courage, and because I know sometimes sharing your story is not easy, but really appreciate your courage for speaking out and sharing your truth. And what an amazing journey and an inspiration you are. So thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you so much. Honestly, so many women, we're so grateful for you as well. I'm very humbled that you actually were able to actually make the drive.
Anytime. It's worth it. No, honestly, it's worth it. Like, for addressing something like this, it's worth it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
you.
Really appreciate it.